Paul Davidescu coming up. I'm going to talk some life hacks, mining leads. Oh, hang on a second until we get the Zoom going here. Oh, are you already there, my brother? Dude, are you already online? I like it. I like it when a guy shows up early. I was going to do a little a pre-show introduction, and then there you are, Paul Davidescu. Thank you, man. Appreciate you being on time. You're always on time.
Well, not always, but I'm trying to make it a better habit for sure.
Yeah, man. So you've been on my lips a lot lately as far as some of the things I learned from you, and I'm getting a little bit of a lag here. Let me just shut down a couple things.
No worries.
And I'm interested to dig a little deeper into it and see if you can maybe give my viewers and listeners some free hacks, life hacks. Especially, I'm interested in. I've been talking about this on other shows that I've been doing. You got me with a bot, brother. I can sniff a bot usually out like anywhere, and LinkedIn is kind of dead to me. I told you that last time we spoke, I think, because all I get is spam invites to like pages. I want to do business with you. This kind of and you can tell what they are. So actually I talked about you yesterday on my show, so I went back. I couldn't see my replies, but I read out exactly the first message that you sent me. It had real estate in caps, which I figured the bot took from my description, inserted it into your first paragraph. I don't know. But then, as you said, it escalated our conversation to a point where it's time to pick up the phone, or it's, let's connect. And so I'm really interested in it because I've resisted the bots on Twitter, everywhere. Although I did have a bot that I found quite useful, that it was a Chrome extension, or it was maybe an API, not a bot, but it reduced the people I followed to zero immediately. My feed was garbage. I was following 2,600 people, and I ran this API or whatever you call it, this Chrome extension, and went for a shower and came back, and I was following no one. I didn't know that over the next few months I would lose 1,000 followers because of it. So because I unfollowed them.
Because they had a bot that knew that you unfollowed them, so then they unfollowed you.
Well, to be honest with you, I think that's a little bit of it. And then I think there's some people out there that know me that were just looking for an opportunity to unfollow me, but didn't want to be, okay, you unfollowed me, so I'll unfollow you back type of thing. So I'm interested if you could speak a little bit to that, because like I said, I've resisted the bots, but if they're healthy and they lead to a place that's good for both participants, then I'd be willing to look at it. So maybe you can talk to us a little bit about what you're using, how you're using it, and how effective it's been for you.
Yeah, sure. Maybe we it's best if we zoom out a little bit, go to a nice little bird's eye view of just like, I think the topic here is AI. A bot is AI. It's machine that helps do somewhat menial tasks in an efficient manner so that human beings can be human and focus on the things that require you using your brain and your heart. Let's think about it that way, through that lens, right? So why do people hate bots, or let's say LinkedIn for that matter? Because people are being lazy, and not even just being lazy. Let's not use that word at all. People are being unempathetic, and they're trying to take before they give. And they're not spending 5 seconds to think about, if I got this message in the middle of my day, in between meetings, when I have 2 seconds to breathe, would I see value in this, right? So people don't do that. So I think the problem is, just to your question about spam and LinkedIn, yeah, it's kind of being ruined with people that do that. And it's not a problem of the bot. The bot is doing an incredibly efficient thing, that it would be a complete waste of time and money for someone to do that themselves, arguably speaking, right? Sometimes you can be a bit more manual about that, very specific kind of people, but if you're going for the masses, you're casting a big net. There's nothing wrong with that. But I think people, again, the messaging is very impersonal. So if we were to get tactical, I mean, I don't know if you can share your screen and show the message that I first sent you, but if it's not handy, that's fine. But generally speaking, it was very much like, hey, I'm surprised we haven't met, because genuinely I knew the people the bot would target would have a lot of mutual connection with me. So that's sort of the thing where, like, we see 80 to 100 or how many mutual connections there are. It's kind of weird you haven't crossed paths, but it also makes sense because the lives you live now are very point A to B to C to D, right? So it's a good connection to have, right? And just to plant a seed. And the first message I sent you, I don't think it was like, hey, here, I didn't say anything about me. I'm like, hey, we have mutual values.
Exactly.
Let's stay in touch. If something sticks out, please say so. That's the first message. I think that's got the way people have to approach any kind of soliciting, whether it's on the phone, email, LinkedIn, doesn't matter. Personal reach outs or bots, it's about, do we have value alignment? Something stuck out. Here's why it's relevant that perhaps we talk, and let's give it some time. There's no fire. There's no hurry, right? So that's the way I think people have to be looking at things, is you have to give first. You have to be empathetic. You need to be patient. I think you have to embrace the bots, because you're crazy not to use LinkedIn. I mean, look, LinkedIn is, ever since Microsoft bought it, I think it's actually gotten better. LinkedIn's a place to, it's like the new resume from, like, it's the new resume. It's where it's a living and breathing resume with updates, not just on your work positions, but like hopefully your things that you care about, your values, right? Groups that you're a part of, status updates. Hopefully you're blogging once in a while. There's so many assets there to be a thought leader. And what does that even mean? It's to show off or to share things you care about. At the end of the day, I don't care what you do for business, but we're all driven by certain values that make the world a better place, and we're all there to learn. So if you approach it that way, it's a fantastic tool. And yes, it's a pity some people are ruining it, but let's face it, it's if we talked about Gary Vee last time. It's organic out there. That's massive, right? It's ripe to use properly, and the ones that are misusing it are the ones that are just going to lose. But I still think we win if we do it properly, because you still checked it. You still know it's important. You'd be crazy not to use it as an important source for centers of influence and PR, or even recruiting, of course. So it's about using these tools properly, and at the end of the day, being human and understanding what's the best use of your time, again, as a person versus a machine.
Well, I'm doing a lot of things that I wish a machine could do, especially, now with the recent success of my YouTube channel. There's so much manual labor required to tag things effectively, to get the descriptions right, so that you're searchable out on the net. And now I'm trying to figure out, not so much with my live broadcast because I don't have the traffic on there, but some of the important clips that I'm borrowing or stealing or putting up, even with copyright, they trying to keep them monetized, trying to keep them in the revenue section of that website of YouTube, and it's horribly, like, my carpal tunnel's killing me just from the last 2 months of sitting on YouTube mostly. So, what do you find? Do you have some programs or whatnot that you can recommend that are free for people that they can actually try out to see how they work? Because again, I like how yours worked, because it was personal, and you're right. It said, I know you're in real estate. Well, I'm paraphrasing, obviously. I see you're in real estate, and I'm sure we have some common connections that may overlap into my business, which is mortgages. So, and I replied to it, and that's not, yeah, I wouldn't have replied if I had to smell the bot. I would have, in fact, what I've been known to do most often is reply, and I do this on Facebook too. After I get added, I always ask the person if I don't know them or recognize them, or I can't ascertain if it's a real account or it hasn't been hijacked. I'll always say, are you real or a bot, and have we met? First, have we met? Have I met you? Yeah. And is this a bot? And you know how a bot responds. But so that's how I've kind of treated them, and I probably wouldn't have done the same to you. I got one from a real estate agent the other day on Twitter, and I was so frustrated because they sent me so many of them, and they were ridiculous. They weren't even in my wheelhouse of conversation. Right. And I said, I block bots. So unless you're going to answer me as a human being, then forget about it. So
Mhm.
I wonder what you're using, and if there's something you can recommend for people out there that like me, that don't
Yeah.
have an experience with them and are willing to give it a try if it can make their bot seem human, I guess.
The problem is that they're changing all the time. The most famous one was LinkedIn Helper. I think that one got on LinkedIn's they have a blacklist now, where there is a risk of you getting your account shut off. So I wouldn't even really recommend bots a whole lot. I mean, I'm
Right.
a little edgy with it, careful. But I want to think I'll ban. You can just Google LinkedIn ban bots, and you can look, even Google LinkedIn bots, and there's a ton of services around. They're always changing. There's always things around them, right? So
Okay.
kind of use them at your own risk. But if I were to
Right.
lean into a few of the questions that you said, first of all, to your pains around SEO, description, tags, etc. I don't know a ton of bots for that, but I do know some programs like TubeBuddy. It's a Chrome extension for YouTube, and it gives you a lot more data on how your videos are doing.
Hmm.
But they just give you data for you to think, think. It's kind of like a lot of the SEO tools like SEMrush or Majestic, right? These are tools that they tap into the algorithm SEO crawlers, and they just tell you what your competitors are doing, what's working for them, et cetera, et cetera. Those are great, actually. But
Hmm.
you still have to use your brain to
Sure.
analyze that and make decisions, right? So
Right.
I think that there's a few tools that can help guide you, like compile data to give you insights. That's important. That's kind of like maybe a tier below a bot, right? It's kind of just data, right?
Hmm.
I'd look at those. I mean, as far as like it being a pain in the ass to actually do some of that the menial work, like for my YouTube channel at Level Up Mortgages, I have a list of contractors you can find on Upwork. There's some really cool tools I've been seeing too that are kind of like marketplaces for like recent graduates. There's a whole bunch of platforms out there where you can use labor, and of course, there's people overseas. I do use some people overseas who speak great English, and living wage is way below, and they're very motivated, right? And they work remotely, and they're used to doing remote work. So you gotta really expand beyond your backyard, right? And be good at coaching, be good at delegating, be good at hiring. All those things are important. And then you can leverage your time very well with other people. And as long as you use tools like Asana for project management, tools like Slack for communication, you're good at, just delegation, timelines, even using Google Calendar as like a deadline. You invite them to the Google Calendar, you call it deadline colon, whatever. They're invited on their email. They'll get the alerts 24 hours before, whatever. And then maybe there's a Zoom invite there where you actually have a meeting. Hey, now it's a deadline. How are you doing? Right. So there's a lot around actually managing people. I think will solve some of those problems. Back to the bot and some of the things you're talking about. I mean, yeah, like again, I would just do some Googling there and see if it's even worth it for you to do.
Hmm.
But again, if you do find a bot, or even if you just find someone in someone overseas to manually do some of these reach outs, which is still be better than you doing it, right? Of course, if you give them some guidance, just keep in mind that like when people accept you, and usually I would see with my scripts that people, it's probably about 20% of people accept,
Wow.
which is not bad, right? And then from there, like in a week, you can get like 1 to 5 meetings booked. That's what I find. You're sending about 100 invites overnight, 20 get accepted throughout the week. So you get about 50 to 100 new connections.
Okay.
And then guess what? You have to send drips. You've got to send escalating messages like what I sent you. But a lot of people still won't respond. And even if they say, yeah, sure, I'm interested, they'll say it just either just kind of to, fend you off for a while, or they'll be interested, but they're just so busy. So you what you got to do? You have to pick up the phone. I'm pretty sure, Jim, I picked up the phone and called you up. And the advantage was is that you're like, oh, yeah, I remember. Right. I remember seeing what you're all about. I just, you're not on top of my priority list. You got to call, you got to sell yourself. Bots are not a replacement for talking to humans, and I think that's going to be a problem with this generation. And I feel old saying that now of new sort of Gen Zs, but it's going to be a problem with communication. And communication is number one, and face to face more and more important. So I'm going on I'm sort of supplementing your question and trying to hit the broad strokes of everything there. But yeah, that's just a bit of like my thoughts on tools, my thoughts on how to approach it, and then just going back to good old fashioned tactics and leveraging your time properly with other people, which are ageless skills that you have to be good at.
I always coach people on the interviews. Don't if I need to interrupt, I will interrupt for clarity, or if I've got something to add. Normally, that's not very often. So, yeah, take as much time as you want to fully expand on whatever you need to, Paul. I appreciate your time, so thanks for that. Now, I had this kind of fantasy. I was thinking about you, and hey, dude, I really appreciate our conversation. You made an impact on me just in the hour that we had had a discussion. Now, for whatever reason, I've been a radio guy for a long time, and even when I was in the studio at the radio station, when I'm doing an interview, I seldom can hear it. Like, I'm not a participant in the conversation as far as hearing and comprehending, because I'm always worried, am I running out of battery power? Is everything when's the commercial coming? What do I have to do the weather and stuff like this? So I really have to go back and listen to our interview to kind of recapture what we talked about. But I started thinking, you know what? I'm a 51-year-old, half decently good looking, pretty healthy, single, no children. And I'm at I'm at a little bit of a crossroads in my life. I've had all the toys, I've done well here and there, and now I'm rebuilding. And at 51 years old, I didn't expect to be doing this. I always expected to have family and whatnot. And that may or may not happen still, or whatever. I don't want to get too personal about it, but here I am. I'm a resigned and cynical realtor. I don't like the day-to-day work, but on the other hand, if one of my clients calls and says, "Hey, I want to buy and sell," I'm there. Okay? It's just I don't know if you have a strong faith or you believe in a higher power. I do, and I feel like my will leads me to the ditch and destruction. And if I feel like I'm in the creator's will, which is serving other people, then I'm happy and I'm productive and I feel good. And moving people from one house to another and collecting a check has never really inspired me all that much. That's why I ran for Green Party, because I felt like I was making a difference, opening up people's minds. Now it's cool to be green, but in '93, when I first ran, everybody thought I was a joke. Now it's really hip to be green. So here I am, 51 years old. I still really get off on people. I love people, although I've created a lie in my head that says I hate people, because then if I believe that lie, then I don't have to treat people well or spend time with them or whatever. And I don't do that. It's kind of similar to, well, I hate real estate. Well, no, you don't hate real estate, because if you're pumping and things are coming and it's no problem, all you got to do is work. My mother used to say, who's been gone almost 10 years now, she was my manager at Remax, you don't hate real estate. You just hate digging in and getting busy. You hate digging yourself out of the slump. That's hard work. But if it's coming and you're cashing checks and snapping necks, then you're happy. There's a certain amount of truth to that. So here I am, a certain amount of resignation and cynicism. I have a passion for coaching agents specifically. Well, I could coach agents all day on everything, because I'm a people person and I know the business well enough to keep them on track. I'm not a professional coach, and I did do a lot of interviewing with Tom Ferry. I didn't make it to the last round of hiring this time around, but that interests me from the standpoint that I could be Tom Ferry's clone and train the way they coach and train the way they want you to. So that didn't work out. So I'm actually looking for work now, going back maybe even to getting back into, I interviewed with a buddy of mine the other day that's in the audio video business still, and I used to work with him. And I went in and sat down with him, and then on the way out, I met his partner, and his partner says, "What are you doing here?" I said, "I'm actually looking for work. I'm considering the possibility of getting a 40 or 45 hour a week job." And I told him a little bit about my success on YouTube. He says, "Get back in here." He walks me back into the office, and then strangely, this little success, well, a big success for me on YouTube, has led an opening to, like, he needs to get monetized. He wants to use it, and maybe he's looking for a guy that's good on camera. He doesn't have a guy. None of his salespeople want to do the open the box type of things. Here's your new Samsung TV, and here's what it does. So it's opened up that for me. Then I have the guts of a book written, which is called The Commission Coach, and I target it. And thecommissioncoach.com is a site designed to target agents. Now, I haven't really sold it that well. I thought maybe I could slide into a training facility or a company where I could teach it to their trainers, because no one is teaching commissions now. And there's downward pressure on commissions in not every sector, but every region, because in California, there's no discount sellers in California or Florida. They're all 6% still. But my guys here in Niagara are having a hard time getting 4. I get 7 all the time, but I offer 4% to the selling broker with the idea that it's a simple question on the way out the door. If you get a listing sign, you say to your seller, hey, Mr. Seller, would you pay an extra 2 points to get full pop? They always say yes to that question because nobody thinks they're going to get full price. So I got the guts to, putting it out. And then I just said to myself, you know what? I'm going to give myself 60 days to get a badly written book ready for just something to sell for $19 type of thing. And then, again, going back to my creator type of thing, my idea, like, just tell me where you want me. And he's been giving me messages, deal after deal after deal, that he doesn't want me in this business. 2 of my last 3 deals were good personal friends of mine, and the buyer just didn't close. So you get to the day where your seller expects his check, and both Toronto buyers just said, I'm not closing. And then you got to go back through the whole steps again. So I'm like, okay, so I'm getting these repeated messages over and over and over and over and over. And then I've been blessed with a success over here. At least I've cashed a couple small checks from YouTube. 2 weeks ago, I hit 1 million views. Last week or a couple days ago, I hit 1.5. Now, I know I'm on the downward slope of all the activity that I've generated with some stuff that did phenomenally well for no real reason other than people like to look at Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston staring at each other at the Golden Globes, I guess. That's one of my most successful videos. So here I am. I'm like, I got a lot of irons in the fire. I've definitely got some talents. I like doing this, but then when I get off the conversation with you, the enemy starts chirping at me. What are you doing? Like, nobody's going to watch this video. What the hell? Who do you think you are? Type of thing. So that's a little bit about where I'm at. I'm frustrated by a lot of things, and I don't, like, I'm not doing everything well. I'm doing everything, but I'm not focusing on one thing and challenging myself to just do that well. So I just thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could give you a kind of little better background? And I think I'm repeating myself because we may have had this conversation before quickly on the phone. But maybe somebody can see themselves in me and get some of the advice that you might give me. And I've really tried to do the 10,000 foot view because, hey, I love coaching people. And it's easy for me to see where they're failing or what they should concentrate on. So I'm trying to get outside of my own head and look down and go, okay, if I had a friend that had my talents, well, what would I tell him to do? It would be so simple, but I can't remove myself from the equation to give myself an objective.
That's a good perspective changer for sure. Doing that, if you're going to recommend to your friend something, doing it to yourself for sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I think that's the buzzword that he's nowadays, by the way.
Definitely.
Unpack is that word everyone's using. So I'm going to use it for a little bit right now.
Okay.
But I mean, look, in a nutshell, like, I can relate to, there's a lot of bullshit in the world, and I also can get frustrated sometimes just because there's a lot of ridiculous people and things. But like, end of the day, it's an attitude thing around like, all right, well, it's not worth the energy fretting about those things. But to the point around like, focusing your time and dipping your feet in a lot of things and then be like, which one do I pick? What's that leap of faith moment of truth? I don't know if you've got to decide that so quickly. I think what you've got to do is you've got to angle those different activities and of course cut some into like a common why, right? So I might have referenced last interview, The Power of Why, right? Simon Sinek classic, right? It's just like, what do you care about? And like you, I care about people being at their full potential, which definitely is another way of saying coaching. I think it's super important. How do you manifest coaching? Do you want to be a certified coach? That's a certain way to do it. I mean, do you want to manage employees? You have to be a coach if you're doing that, right? Do you want to do client work, agency work? Well, you're kind of coaching and educating people. Everything's around really coaching and educating. So what's your angle for that? And then the different activities that you're doing, how do those supplement marketing that, practicing that, building that? So like this interview, I would hope people that need coaching or are feeling stuck or resonate with the things that you said, I hope they get value from this. And you have to promote this. And then, you've already, talked about the commission coach and perhaps they'll reach out to you. Maybe they'll reach out to both of us. Who knows, right? But I think you've got to use things that are marketing vehicles for a core service you do, which either is a straight up coach, it's a straight up realtor, it's a mixture of both, right? And like on the level up mortgages side, it's all about leveling people up. It basically is a personal development Trojan horse, really. You have to get a mortgage. That's cool. Guess what? You need good income, managing your debt well, and you got to be organized. And guess what? That's actually an amazing way to look at how to improve your life. So if you improve your life in those three aspects, then the lenders will love you. And not only will you level up to get a home, but you'll also be a better entrepreneur. You'll just be a happier individual. So like that, I mean, I just frame personal development under a vehicle that makes money. And that's the thing. As boring as real estate can be, and even mortgages, it's like people need homes. It's based, the lucrative is never sexy. It's rarely sexy. It's a basic need. I'm looking as I'm talking. I'm looking outside, and we've got this flurry hitting Ontario and Toronto. I'm sure Niagara, and people need shelter. So something I've learned, like working on very sexy apps, going on Dragon's Den, working in the food industry, all these really cool, sexy things. And at the end of the day, are in many ways, I'm sorry, very unstable industries and kind of crap industries, right? It's from a business perspective. So I've learned, be like, okay, what's a basic need, and how can I add my own passion, my own why, my own approach to it? And I'm a big fan of interviews like this because it really brings the best out of you. All those thoughts you have in your head get to be brought out when someone's asking you about it. I should probably plug Parkbench, actually. Grant Finley shares. They've got a company. It's very good for realtors, actually. The whole business model is that you create a micro website for a community. Let's say, like, I'm the mayor of Liberty Village, and mayor meaning I own the website, and my sponsor information is on there. But they syndicate deals, events, and news from that area. And you basically talk to local business and say, hey, can I promote you for free? Put up your content. In fact, can I interview you? I'm going to put up your interview on the website. So it's all about elevating others to elevate yourself. And the whole thing is that you will get referrals given that you are a good community steward. Wow. And I love that, right? And that's a way of mixing tech, interviews, marketing. And at the end of the day, you monetize from selling a home. There's nothing wrong with that. But it's the activities around that give it meaning that I think are really important. Not only just give it meaning, but they allow you to be different from everyone else, right? So that's the way I look at it. I think perhaps all these different passions, especially around media, I think we have a lot of things in common there. Just use your advantage to stand out in the way people have that first impression on you when going back to LinkedIn, right? Full circle. Promote that stuff on LinkedIn. Have a good positioning statement. Post more of your videos on there. Reach out to people automatically. Book consultation sessions, right? Just see if you can actually add value in 15 minutes to someone. If you can add value there, then you might have a coaching client, a real estate client, a friend, who knows, right? So that's maybe a lot of factors to consider as you start to get unstuck and you start to really see how to focus different projects into a common lane, where honestly, even for productivity and time management, it has to be fluid. If things are too different, then you have to find ways to either cut them, shelf them, or better focus them.
I have a friend of mine who, when I was a Green Party candidate many, many years ago, his mother called me and said, my kid is going to be prime minister one day, and he loves the Green Party, and if you could drop off a sign, he'd go crazy. And the day I went to deliver the sign myself, because I'm a one-man show when I ran in the Green Party, he answered the door, or he came out while I was putting the sign up, and he was like 10 years old. I'm like, what the? His name's Alex Kazam now. He's now a grown man, an illusionist, and a really bright kid, really talented too. And kind of like, I look at this kid and I go, listen, if I had your talent, man, I'd have 3 houses in 3 different countries. Like, maybe there's something we can do. We fell out of touch for a while. I'll get you on the show. Maybe there's something we can do. I kind of give him the same spiel as I gave you as funny commission coach and writing the book and everything. He says, Fan Man, please leave the book for now. What we need to do is get you some speaking events, get you some clients that can say, hey, I use Jim, and this is how I get 7% every time. And get some success under your belt, because nobody's going to buy your book if you don't have, testimonials, and if you're not out there. And I, in my head, I went, you know what? Writing a book is going to be very difficult for me, but getting on stage is not. And that kind of goes back to what we talked about in our last conversation is, capitalize on your strengths, drop your weaknesses, let someone else deal with it, So it was amazing advice from a guy that I used to mentor, like literally I was like his big brother for a long time there. And now he's coaching me up. So full circle. It's awesome.
Very cool. Yeah, that's awesome. No, I think that's sound advice.
Yeah. And since then, you can look him up. His name's Alex Kazam. And this guy is a talented magician. And then he wanted to get some experience in the bar business. So, and actually, he was managing a place on the waterfront there for some time. Did it very well, brought in a GM to take over for himself, got out of there. And so he went to school because he masters everything. He's an expert at everything. So he went to the bottle flipping, mixing, I don't know what you call it, mixologist or whatever, a bartender, a professional bartender. Like he went, I can see him doing it. But then he's the type of guy that can swallow the bottle and make it disappear behind the bar. And you'd be like saying this. So yeah, keep him in mind. I'll touch you up with a follow-up email. He'd be a guy that you guys would blow up together if you ever had an event where you need to use them. So there you go. There's another reason why we're talking today. Everything's for a reason, right?
100%.
Yeah. How much coaching are you actually doing with your people? Do you have a specific business that's coaching?
Yes. So I do coaching specifically. Well, first of all, so I've got two businesses. Tengu, right, which is the company that went on Dragon's Den and kind of built my marketing agency around. And Tengu runs the marketing for Level Up Mortgages, which is, of course, the mortgage company. So the coaching specifically comes sometimes helping people on the marketing front, helping them, either do-it-yourself courses, or basically it's helping them understand how to spend their money on building relationships with customers through Facebook advertising, email marketing, a lot of things that involve bots and automation, but also force them to be at their best and actually make a face-to-face interaction after the bot has taken someone to a point where they're ready to talk. It's all about timing, right? So
Sure.
Yeah, so I think coaching's embedded in a lot of the services we do, but a lot of services are really, we do it for you, but we educate you along the way.
Okay.
On the Level Up Mortgages side, I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, self-employed people that need the coaching so they qualify for prime lenders, even B lenders. I had a client this week who they were at a B lender level because their credit score was not very good, right? So the plan we did is a year of B lending, and then after that, you can, if you manage your debts well and you have the right amount of income, you can level up to an A, right? So I'll coach people just to help them get towards optimizing the most savings, and I'm really into that. A lot of, I think, realtors and brokers are very deal hungry, and they just sort of say, okay, I'll talk to you when you're ready.
Right.
And people want you to be there for the journey. So you've got to find a balance between being a coach, but also you can't coach everyone forever. So that's where automation can help by, for example, giving a newsletter, sending out drip campaigns. If someone has poor credit, not enough income, new to Canada, you've got to create drip sequences through email automation that every few weeks send them a special article to keep them sort of, motivated. So again, back to automation, there's a lot of beautiful ways to use it to keep people kind of informed and motivated. But at the end of the day, yeah, there's more hands-on coaching as well that is done through either hiring someone to do it for you and or you do it with them, right? So again, you'll see bits of that in Tengu and Level Up Mortgages.
All right. Brother, I know you got to go. I appreciate your time. Let's book something. We'll do a deeper dive on something when you got a little bit more time. And then I'd like you to bring the topic and see, something that you're really successful at doing. Maybe it's in tech, maybe it's whatever, but something that we can hand off to someone else without hurting you too badly. Some tips or free advice.
Well, I think we've covered a lot today. Honestly, we're huge on automation and proper sales and communication. I think we covered a lot. I'll think on that one, but I really implore your audience and, of course, yourself to think about how to use AI properly, how to leverage your skills with AI specifically. And it's all about network, and not just networking and just having many connections and going very, shallow with them, but how are you going to add value and nurture people, add value, create interviews, create blog posts, and just be a thought leader that truly is elevating others. I think that's something that the world needs a lot more of. And hopefully, I can be a small part of helping that mission. And I think, in the next decade, it's going to be a really interesting point to see where AI and humanity kind of intermingle and leverage each other's strengths. And on that note, I would also recommend, a recommended reading or a podcast is Yuval Harari, the world famous author of *Sapiens*. He had this incredible interview with Chris Anderson from TED Talks. You can look that up, and they talk about how AI will eventually hack your data. AI will know you better than you know yourself. And the only way to combat that comes down to how self-aware you are and how still you can be with your thoughts, how well you can know yourself through meditation, through could be psychedelics, through things that put you in a very pure state of mind. And I think that's going to be humanity's biggest challenge. And I think opportunity is going back to the present, finding ways to be present and happy, but also going fast with automation. And that's something that perhaps as I get deeper into that, that will be probably a more warranted conversation around really exploring deep into that, because I think we're at a really interesting point.
All right, brother. I love you. Thanks for your time. Have a powerful day, and we'll catch up soon. And again, thanks for reaching out in the beginning. I know it was your AI was, but I'm grateful for it anyways, and grateful for the time. So,
me too, man.
All right, brother.
Thanks so much for having me on, and the powerful things that an open mind can do, and using a little bit of automation to cast the net. And I think eventually people who have similar values will find a way to connect, even if it's a bot or walking down the street or any kind of human interaction.
Amen, brother. The link for the contact is in the description. Touch him up. He's Paul Davidescu. Love you, brother. Talk soon.
Thanks, everyone. Much love. Bye for now.
Peace, man. Well, that was pretty cool. Paul Davidescu, if you need him. And if you're watching on YouTube, the link is down below. I guess you're watching on YouTube because, well, that's the only place we're live right now. And this is a Zoom meeting that apparently was not really all that well centered. And do I need a shave? Okay. It's a beautiful day here in North Niagara on the south shore of Lake Ontario. And if I could just play you a little bit of music on the way out. Let's see how this works on the Zoom cam or the Zoom conversation. First, we got Jay Beatty's intro that he wrote for the show. What do you think? Like it? Jay Beatty and crew, Jay Ash, Fettergas, and who else was in there? Oh, I'm missing somebody. Jay Beatty is from Theater Crisp. He's got his own production studio, and he wrote that little intro for the Jim Fannon Show, and this is Aaron Berger. It's all yours, baby. I can't not sing this song. Sorry if you can hear me. My apologies if you can hear me singing in the background, but I can't not sing that song when it comes on. Humbled to the Ground, Aaron Berger from the album On Healing Ground. Paul Davidescu is my guest today. That was a quick hit. And thank you, YouTube, for the subs. Comment below if you find anything that's interesting. You got a question for Paul or myself, hit us up. I got to go take some groceries to my Faja because I'm a good boy. He's a good man. So it's a beautiful wintry day. It's 11:18 a.m. EST here on the south shore of beautiful, pristine Lake Ontario. Actually, I went out to pristine Lake Ontario today, and it's nasty. I pulled in today from my morning coffee, and when I can hear the lake pounding, I often take a walk down there to check it out, and I went down, and my face froze almost solid. I couldn't even talk. I was trying to talk, and my jaw was frozen. Paul Davidescu, contact information is down below. If you like it, share it. If you got a question, comment. Zoom, YouTube, love you. Peace out, yo. How do I stop recording now? Oh, stop recording. Done. End meeting. Done. End meeting for all. And we are out. You want another song before I go? YouTube? Oh, you Zoom guys are going to miss out on Jealous of Your Phone by the Brian Sorensen Groove Trio, and the album is Electronic Love. Jealous of Your Phone. You're going to like this. Have a great day, everyone. I think a good show would be just me dancing around to my music, getting all the words wrong. I'd watch it probably. Low. I was watching one today, actually. I should pull it up so I can tell you exactly who it was, but it was this black girl and her husband, and the title was called something like Pink Floyd Made Us Cry. Pink Floyd took turns making us cry. I'm going to give it, because I don't look at myself and get cringe. I just don't really, I don't know. I like myself on the radio better than I do doing this, right? But these guys were cringe, especially her. She's just, ugh. Like, he's not a regular dude. He's kind of a heavy-looking dude with a goatee and long hair and whatnot. And I guess they're into Pink Floyd. So let me go to my history here. Wow. See, it's got good beats, eh? Good beat. An Angry Day on Lake Ontario was a video I shot this morning down there, and Pink Floyd's David Gilmour and Roger Waters take turns making us cry, LOL. This is, I shouldn't judge, but I will. I shouldn't judge, but I am judgmental. So I will, Judge. I don't know if I want to call it horrific. It's just cringe, especially her. Ugh. And he cries. He's got to go off screen because he's crying. Listen, I get emotional sometimes when I watch my favorite band play. But what the hell? Paul's probably going to be angry at me destroying his good video about business that we just did. We just did a nice interview, and then I come on here and act like a jackass listening to music and pop my head around. It's just not cool. Paul, I'm sorry for that. I'm going to end the video now. Gotcha? Gotcha. Look out, Metro. Here I come. And you, Daddy.